So one guy said that he sat and spoke for probably 20, 30 minutes with a guy who had lost a job on Monday and had been homeless since. And he just told everyone here, he said, you know, you're all 3 paychecks away from maybe being in a similar situation. And I heard a lot of stories from people there, you know, crazy stories, you know, people that had had big success and now were down on their luck or didn't have a place to sleep or were struggling with addiction. But once you sit down and talk to these people, they're normal people. They're just in difficult circumstances. And it's easy to ignore the homeless and to walk by them and to not look at them. So like this was our chance to kind of really start opening our eyes and having a relationship and trying to understand what's really going on, you know, as opposed to just thinking it's, I don't know, somebody who did something wrong or who doesn't understand what they should do, because there's a lot more going on here, right?
Yeah, and I appreciate that it's scary as well, you know, like when you're walking down the street, you know, I mean, you can turn on your telly every night and they'll talk about a stabbing in London. You know, you hear about random stabbings. And our mindset that's put to us is almost that, like, there's people that are mentally ill, they end up on the street, and this is the person that does it. It's not always the case, but our mindset is still set in that way. And so I appreciate that when people walk down the street, it can be scary to have to, or to make that step to go and speak to someone. But like you experienced yesterday, these are normal people. You know, I'd say, like, if people have done things in their past, it's been when they've been younger. And a lot of these guys that we have in our drop-in are 35 plus, both men and women. And if they've done something wrong, they know they don't want to go down that road anymore because they just don't see the point in it. And actually, most of them by this point, they're now broken people that need help to put their lives back together. And so, you know, the more that we can put that word out that people just need support and help. And it's the community that's got to change that, not just the homeless community, not just people that have been in that position in the past, and definitely not just people that have grown up with similar backgrounds. You know, that many of our people that are homeless just need inspiring to believe that they can do more. And until they start seeing other people like them that are inspiring them to do a bit more, it's going to be a struggle for them to believe that they can do it. But I've seen plenty of potential within many homeless people, and they can easily be someone that can inspire others, but they need to start believing for themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, I gave my speech up on the stage. First of all, I gave a horrible rendition of the Thanksgiving story with the Pilgrims going on the Plymouth Rock and the Native Americans, which I had to study on YouTube. But I did that, and I was explaining, I was talking to everybody at the table and telling them. But then I told about my story of struggling with addiction and an overdose and how I moved to London to actually change my life. So London kind of saved me, and how I'd been clean from heroin for coming up on 17 years. And sober from alcohol almost 2 years. And then some of the guys came up to me afterwards. They were like, what? That's you, but look at you. Look at you. You couldn't have done that. And I was like, yeah, of course. But I was in a bad mindset around bad people, and I couldn't see a way out, you know. And so it was nice to talk to them about that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
You could just see a lot of eyes open up. And something you told me when I went to visit the center before we went there is you said, Brian, people come in here and we pass out the croissants and the coffees and the teas and the meals. We're trying to start a conversation. And that can take months to build trust till you even get someone's name. But that's how maybe you get someone to talk about what's going on. You said 83 to 90% people are suffering from addiction to something, and maybe people can talk about wanting recovery if they want it and next steps. So like I told my whole team there, I said, we got to go there. We're not there just serving meals. We're supposed to talk to people because maybe that's the start of their recovery. But I didn't realize that till you told me, you know?
Yeah, and that's why, like, you know, we potentially could have done that meal with 5 or 6 of us, you know. But yeah, the whole point is not just we chuck out another meal. We give meals 4 days a week on our normal week. And really we're giving meals to draw people in because they're hungry, right? But then from then, our whole purpose is how can we get their lives moving on? How can we get them into pre-abstinence class? How can we get them along to doing an art class where we have an art therapist in there? How can we get along to women's class? How can we get them into a smaller group where we can actually have a meaningful conversation? You know, and most of our meaningful conversations, almost all of them, do not happen when we've got 50 people in a room having a food and talking. But we want to deal with their basic needs, but also we want to get them on benefits where we can, in order to be able to get them into accommodation, in order to progress them maybe into abstaining from their whatever their addiction is, and then get them into work placements and get them into a job that you know. Our strapline is putting lives back together. Sometimes I think our strapline should be putting lives together, because a lot of people that I have experienced within the jobbing have never had a life that I would call a life. So to put it back, I don't want them to have what they had before. I want them to have what I've got now. You know, I don't want them to have a crappy life where, you know, where they may not be in addiction, but the rest of their family is, and they don't want to see their family anymore because this is the situation. I want them to, you know, be able to go and get a good job where they can earn a salary that means they ain't got to stress out every day. They're not having to go and work 12 hours a day in order just to put bread on the table. I want them to have a fulfilled life.